one of the big things about startups is when they innovate, when they disrupt, the government must be the first buyer. The government has initiated several policy changes in areas of space, in areas of geospatial maps, and in areas of drones. The AI race has just begun, and Indian startups must demonstrate their great ability to do a lot of more innovation on AI. DeepTech is critical, but it would require a lot of patient capital because DeepTech gives you result over a long period of time, and that's why in this budget, the government of India has announced fund of funds for DeepTech. The future really lies in India becoming a champion of DeepTech, and therefore this fund of funds for DeepTech will help all venture funds to support young startups. No country in the world has such an extraordinary level of startups as India has. No other country has this ecosystem of startups which India has. No other country has this ability to put the young startups with the venture fund and with the fund of funds all together, which India has been able to do. When we launched the Startup India movement in 2016, January, there were just 156 startups in India. Today, startups, we have over 161,000 startups in India, and the funding, which then used to be about 5 to 6 billion, has moved to about 155 billion in India, and startups are now contributing about 4 to 5% to India's GDP. So the startup story in India is really a testament to the entrepreneurial spirit that truly defines New India, and it is a story of a remarkable transformation into a global startup powerhouse, and startups have been driving a lot of innovation in India. I think much of this has happened because the government of India has worked in partnership with the private sector, with young entrepreneurs, to simplify all regulatory framework. When we were driving the Startup India policy, we ensured that startups are kept out of Factories Act, kept out of labor laws, etc. And I think what has made the difference is that we started with the fund of funds of 10,000 crores, which was operated by SIDBI, but where the fund of fund took the risk along with alternative investment funds. So venture funds were investing in startups, but the risk of the venture fund was shared by the fund of funds. And that enabled a lot of risk-taking to be done by the venture funds. The due diligence was all done by the venture funds. The second thing that helped was the seed fund scheme and the credit guarantee scheme, and later the Bharat Startup Grand Challenge, and the fact that today we have about 20,000, close to about 28,000 startups registered on the government platform, which is the GEM platform for purchase, because my belief is that one of the big things about startups is when they innovate, when they disrupt, the government must be the first buyer, and the government must be the first buyer. And that helps, when government becomes the first buyer, that helps startups to ensure that that product is fully marketed. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are in the midst of a lot of geopolitical turmoil. Yesterday we've seen very high tariffs being imposed by the United States of America. The global supply chains are disrupted. Flow of capital will get impacted across the world. And therefore, the state of tariffs being in a flux, it's very important that startups continue to do disruption in a very big way. And startups in India continue to make a difference to India. And to my mind, there are several areas where startups have to make a difference. The government has initiated several policy changes in areas of space, in areas of geospatial maps, and in areas of drones. And there are very, very dynamic young startups. If you look at Dhruv, if you look at Agnicool, if you look at Cosmos, Skyroot Aerospace, Pixel, they're all building rockets, they're building engines, satellites, and because of the cost arbitrage, India is now taking a giant leap forward in space and drones and many of these areas. But one of the key challenges for us is that startups must get into deep tech. That, to my mind, is very critical. They must get into areas of artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, big data. They must get into sunrise areas of growth: electric mobility, battery storage, green hydrogen, electronic manufacturing. And to my mind, a very huge area of innovation will be the area of circular economy. And the future will all be about digital, and it will be about growing green. And therefore, disruption in these areas of AI, in areas of deep tech, will be very critical. Now, deep tech is critical, but it would require a lot of patient capital because deep tech gives you result over a long period of time. And that's why in this budget, the government of India has announced a fund of funds for deep tech. And you will have the fund of fund for startups getting replenished by 10,000 crores, but you'll have a separate fund of funds for deep tech. And therefore, this fund of funds for deep tech will enable venture funds to take far more risk of investing in startups in areas of cyber security, semiconductors, AIs, and many, many other areas of deep tech areas where we need to make a huge, huge disruption. To my mind, the future really lies in India becoming a champion of deep tech. And therefore, this fund of fund for deep tech will help all venture funds to support young startups. And we need, this fund of fund will share the risk with alternative investments funds who will put resources into startups. I would also say that it's very, very important that with this huge amount of data which India generates, 1.4 billion people with their digital identity, which has enabled us to build up a very, very strong digital public infrastructure movement. And from the digital public infrastructure movement, we've demonstrated that 1.4 billion Indian people today, actually a lot of us do a fast payment on our mobiles. We do about 50% of the fast payment in the world today. China is next with about 20% of the fast payments. But from fast payment, India then moved to providing credit. And from credit, we've seen a number of young startups like Zerodha Grow Upstock actually taking stock market to tier 2, tier 3 cities. And then we saw young startups like GoDigit and Acco providing insurance on the mobile, on the go. So India is the only country in the world which provides fast payment, which does credit, which does stock market, which does insurance, all within 32 seconds to 1 minute on the go, on the mobile. And this has been possible because we do it in an open source manner. We have open APIs. We are globally interoperable in digital public infrastructure. Now, the next big quantum jumping will take place when we integrate artificial intelligence with digital public infrastructure. And the AI race, to my mind, has just begun. It is wide open. Some of you have seen just 2 months back, Target in America talking about massive amount of investment. And that huge amount of investments by a range of companies in the United States, that was upset just recently by DeepTech, which was able to do in just about a few millions what had taken 6 billions. Stargate proposal was for 6.6 billion. DeepSeek could do it in much lower amount of just millions, 4.5 million. This was possible because DeepSeek went open source, and they were able to show this convergence of great soft power with very limited computing power. So my view is that the AI race has just begun, and Indian startups must demonstrate their great ability to do a lot of more innovation and AI using their software with limited hardware computing ability, and less energy consuming power. What is going to happen is that AI is going to consume a lot of power, a huge amount of power in the days to come. In fact, according to International Energy Agency, AI will consume more power than countries like Japan and Sweden by 26-27. So the challenge for the world is to be able to do AI, great artificial intelligence with less energy, which is more nimble, which has very good software power with limited computing power. And the world is going for open source. So what is demonstrating is that open source is making a lot of innovation possible and making quantum jumping possible. And therefore, it's very important that for India to maintain its sovereignty in technological advancement and leading from the front, we must not become a technological colony of either the West or of any other country in the world. We must continue to innovate in a very nimble, in a very less energy consuming, cost effective manner. We must do more for less, like ISRO has done in the case of space. I mean, ISRO could launch itself, go into the space, land in the moon, at lower cost than what even a Hollywood movie like Galaxy could cost. And therefore, doing more for less is critical, and this is only what the startups can do. So open source will be the way forward. We must converge software with limited hardware. We must build sovereign frontier models which are based on our own data sets and do not have inherent biases of the West. If we go with Western models, we lose our culture, our identity, we will lose our civilizational strength. And therefore, it's important that we must build on Indian data, on the data of our citizens, and we must build end-to-end AI ecosystems and not just the application layer. We also have a large number of languages, 22 languages. We have a huge number of dialects in India, and therefore our models must be multilingual and multimodal in the days to come. We must be able to, exactly like what we've done with Bhashni, where a person living in a rural area can fill up his form using his voice. We must be able to make voice in all dialects, in all languages possible, and that only AI will be able to do. So ladies and gentlemen, these are days of huge disruption. India must demonstrate that we are willing to make the quantum jump forward in deep tech. We are able to make a huge disruption in areas of space, in areas of drones, in areas of battery, in areas of clean technology. I'm making these points because if you look at China today, they control about 70% of the solar market. They control about close to 74% of the battery market. They are controlling about close to 80% of the electric vehicle market. And therefore, these are areas where it will be very, very important to India to make a very big breakthrough. These big breakthroughs will not come in from established companies. Established companies will continue to keep doing the same thing. It will be the young startups which will make all the difference, and therefore deep tech will be very critical for India. Artificial intelligence will be very critical for India. Sunrise areas of growth of mobility, battery storage, green hydrogen, circular economy, all these are huge areas of opportunity for all of you. So ladies and gentlemen, my view is that when future generations write the history of India, they must mark this decade as the moment when India transformed from merely being a service provider to a global innovator. And being a global innovator will only happen with our young startups of today. So the government of India has done its best. Government of India has created the fund of funds. It will create the fund for deep tech. It will create a huge clean tech manufacturing ecosystem. But it's for the young entrepreneurs to carry out all the disruption in the world. And we are all here to support you, to back you, and we are all here to motivate you. And I'm truly delighted to be here as a part of this Mahakumbh, which is a very exciting opportunity. No country in the world has such an extraordinary level of startups as India has. No other country has this ecosystem of startups which India has. No other country has this ability to put the young startups with venture fund and with the fund of funds all together, which India has been able to do. And it's now for the young startups to carry out all the disruption in the world. One last point I want to make, and that is that whatever you do, a good corporate governance must be a very key and critical part of it. Many of you are engaged in disruption. Many of you are constantly innovating, and then you forget the governance part of it. But good governance must become a very critical part of this, because governments must be kept at arm's length. If governments have to be kept at arm's length, self-regulation will have to be critical. And for self-regulation to happen, all of you must really believe that as you move forward, there must be ethical governance, there must be good audits, and there must be good financial management as well. Infosys was once a startup which has gone on to become a huge monolithic company simply because they were able to bring in good corporate governance. And therefore, all of you must, as you grow and expand and become bigger and bigger and bigger, top-class corporate governance must be a very critical component of all this. So I wish you all the best. I wish you all success, and I wish you all progress and prosperity in the days to come. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.